Hi guys, this is Shirley Carlos. On today's video, I'm going to give you my review of episode 2 of season 2 of The Big Bang Theory. A bit a nerdy a nerdy a nerdy medieval ear dope and unplumbing of love. So here we go, guys. I love this episode because this episode is another theme episode. So here we go, guys. In this episode, we start off with the guys coming back from the medieval festival of Pasadena, and of course Sheldon, Leonard, Howard, and Roger dressed up perfectly, they're dressed up as medieval characters. Well, accurate costumes. Let's see. Leonard is a knight. Sheldon is the town crier. Howard is the village fool, or the village joker, or the village idiot. And Raj is a classic old medieval poet. Like you would see in Shakespeare. But here's the kicker. It's been about 2 weeks. Yes, about 2 weeks since the first episode, according to the timeline. According to the episode timeline. What I mean by 2 weeks. It has been. So in this episode, it's kind of a continuation or part 3 of the iPod cat of love, but it's not. But according to the timeline, it has been, yes. According to the timeline, it has been 2 weeks since. Where it has been a couple of weeks since the first episode of season 2. So remember the date, guys. Part 2 of the season where episode 1 of season 2 began, which was my last review. Well, it has been a couple weeks, and basically Leonard and Penny left it off and broke it off. They dated a couple of times, according to Leonard, and they just didn't click. They didn't click romantically, or they didn't have the romantic love click. But Penny and Leonard hadn't spoken, had not seen each other since, or had not spoken since. And Howard put it perfectly with Sheldon and Raj, and of course Leonard, with all of them together. Awkward. It was awkward because Penny moved on to another date with another dude. But Leonard had an, had an idea to revisit a to get reacquainted with an old friend, and I think you might know her, guys. Leslie Winkle. But first, we discovered or we found out something funny about about uh Raj. Besides 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 being nervous, being becoming muted with with girls, he he confused he confused a a uh, a well accurate girl slave costume at Comic Con last year. Even though we didn't see an episode regarding, even though we didn't see an episode featuring Comic Con, but yeah. But anyway, Raj kissed this costumed girl, so he thought, but it was actually a guy. It was actually a dude. It was actually a guy, and to make it even more tragically funny, uh, this guy told Raj that his name was Kimberly, and Raj went for a kiss after hanging out with Kimberly for a little bit, and obviously he kissed her. But anyway, that's a, that that's the funny part. That's the funny part. And and with this and with this and with this, I have to say, I'm glad. It's awesome. It is awesome that my fellow nerds of Comic Con, even though I haven't been there before, I want to go there someday, are so accurate, are so perfectly cleaned and just so specific with their costumes and so specific with their costumes and also my girl nerd friends are so clean and so precise with their costume that like Raj, you might think that that you might mistaken a good costume, a good precise costume that is so precise that you might think that that you're hanging out with a girlfriend and you might not realize, but guys can if they wanted to, they could dress up as Harley Quinn. Obviously, obviously, without Harley Quinn skirt. So you know what I mean. But I mean, poor Raj. But anyway, going back. So Leonard basically was like, okay, if you want to play that way, Penny, I'm gonna show you that I have moved on. And yes, he did. By going back to a date, by going back with a girl that we saw that I spoke to you guys about in season 1. Yes, Leslie Winkle, and we find out that she hates, that she despises, that she and Sheldon do not like each other, or that she doesn't, like, or that she doesn't precisely stand stand uh Sheldon, just like I told you guys in season 1. But this time it's with more to a higher level of intensity, and and of, and of course Leslie surprisingly after precisely and surprisingly a couple days after seeing Penny with this other guy that she was going out with, basically moved on from Leonard. Leslie was the first one to make the move, and she told Leonard, "I would love to revisit our dating component, our dating variable that we used to have." And Leonard was like, "What?" Even though he didn't say the word "wow," he was shocked, but he agreed. The conditions of the date. By Leslie: a good Chinese food place, a rom-com, and that's about it. And we will go from there. But what Leonard did not expect was that Sheldon that Mrs. Cooper had mailed Sheldon's old Nintendo 64 when he could play, so Leonard and Sheldon could play Nintendo 64 for hours and hours, and Sheldon was ready to school Leonard in Mario Kart and other games, but Leonard's date with Leslie wasn't going to be outside or out. It was going to be in the apartment. So Leonard asked Sheldon politely to leave the apartment for a little bit, and of course Sheldon was bummed out. I would be bummed out too, because he couldn't play Nintendo 64, and of course at this point Sheldon knew that, well, Leonard had told Sheldon that he and Leslie were going to revisit their dating component from last year, meaning from season 1. And of course Sheldon wasn't happy about it. But to pass the time, since he couldn't play NES 64 or SN64, he found a very 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 ungraphical version of Super Mario. What I mean by ungraphical is that it didn't have good graphics. A super ungraphical Super Mario simulator. And of course he played it. He had to play it on his computer. And the computer charging cord or the USB that gave him access to this Super Nintendo Super Mario Simulator was too long. So he had to sit and play in the stairs. Yes. So we didn't actually go in the hallway. He didn't go in the hallway and sit and play. He had to go and sit at the stairs. Sit at the stairs in the lobby. And basically Penny was ready to go out on another date with another dude. And Sheldon was like to Penny, why? I'm sorry for thinking that you were a bad dating option for Leonard, but why don't you move yourself up there and enchant and do your corn and popcorn enchant Leonard's popcorn again, meaning his heart. And Penny was like, Sweetie, I'm sorry, but Leonard and I did date, but we didn't click. We didn't have a good loving core. We didn't have a good loving corn connection. But now he's with Leslie. He's on a date with Leslie. Then Sheldon was like, yes, I know, but Leslie's often mean to me, and she hates my research. She downplays my research. And then Sheldon went on a very cool rundown of all the doctors, of all the MCU PhD owners and doctors that are evil, meaning like Dr. Ock, and so on and so forth in the MCU. Then Penny was like, Sheldon, why don't you, if you're so bored if you're so bored out of your mind, and if you're going to be bored after playing Super Mario, why don't you go outside and get a bear claw? Go to the movies. And Sheldon was like, okay, Penny, what movie would I watch? And at what time? And at what time? And so on and so forth. But to top it all off, then back in the apartment, things were getting romantically awesome for Leslie and Leonard, but Sheldon had to go to the bathroom, and of course he killed the awesome romance. But Sheldon said, don't mind me, keep going, keep on your having awesome romantic stuff. And then Leslie and Leonard got into a fight about string theory of how the planet should look, and to keep it short and sweet, guys, Leslie believed that that the galaxy should be I can't remember, but the point is that Leonard wanted his galaxy loopy, and of course before this fight Leonard had disclosed to Leslie that he's genetically prone to male pattern baldness because of his uncles, and that he was lactose intolerant. And here's the point that I'm getting at, guys. Leslie could accept that her future children with Leonard, yes, that's how fast Leslie went. She could accept that her future kids with Leonard would be genetically prone to male pattern baldness, and they wouldn't have a chance to eat an ice cream. But she wouldn't accept that she wouldn't accept the fact that Leonard wanted his galaxy a certain way, while she wanted her way, the galaxy her way. And then to top this off, Leonard felt really, really bad and sad. And to cheer him and trying to cheer him up, Sheldon said, "I'm sorry." He kind of said, "I'm sorry, Leonard. Things didn't work out, but at least with Leslie, but at least you still have Comic-Con, and that's how this is how this wonderful episode ends. And what I mean by a medieval nerd with big nerdy ears is that Rod suggested to Sheldon to dress up as Spock doing a thorough research trip in a medieval planet. And that's exactly what Sheldon did. He dressed up as Spock, and he basically grabbed his Star Trek beeper. You guys know what I'm talking about if you have seen the episode. So with that, guys, this is how this wonderful and medieval nerd love medieval orange chicken loving episode of season 2 of The Big Bang Theory ends. So with that being said, guys, let me know in the comments if you want to, what was your favorite part? What was your favorite part of this episode? And what is your favorite? And also, if you want to, let me know in the comments what is your favorite Hugh Grant rom-com movie. So with that being said, guys, thank you again. Remember to leave a like, and until we nerd again, may the Spock be with you. Bye.